Okay, so question number 11. It says in a college 60% of the students are girls. If 25 teachers each select a random sample of 8 students, and how many samples will get? See, the question says how many teachers. So we need to obtain the frequency. So whenever the question says how many samples, how many andaga, we are talking about the frequency ಅಂತ ಆಯ್ತು. ಸೊ ಫ್ರೀಕ್ವೆನ್ಸಿ ಕಂಡಿಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಎನ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರ್ಬೇಕು ಅವರು, ನೀವು ಪ್ರಾಬಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಕಂಡುಹಿಡಿಬೇಕು. So let us write what is given now. So we have n is equal to for p. So it's the proportion, sorry, percentage is given for the girls students. So I can define p as probability that a randomly selected student is girl. So 60% of the students class ali irodrinda, chance that a selected student will be girl is 60%, which is 0.6. Alternatively, you can write this as proportion of girls, simply proportion of girls in the class. So this is our P. Now, if you look into the next statement, 25 teachers each select a random selection of 8 students. So always our binomial is defined as n times Bernoulli. So here the experiment is selecting a student and then observing whether the student is a boy or a girl. So the gender success, we say, since we are talking about P as selecting a girl student, so here I say success if I select a girl student, failure if I select a boy student. Now since we are dealing with selection of the students, so your X will be how many girls you are selecting out of certain number of students. So in total, if you look into the question, 25 teachers are there. So this 25 is the count of teachers. We are not interested in looking into the gender of the teacher, but the experiment is looking into the gender of the student. Therefore, your X is number of girls out of 8 students. Therefore, your n, small n, which is binomial n, is equal to 8. So the left out case will be capital A, which is 25. So you are repeating this binomial experiment 25 times. And one the teacher 8 students select ಮಾಡೋದು, ಇನ್ನೊಂದು teacher ಮತ್ತೆ 8 students select ಮಾಡೋದು, third teacher 8 students select ಮಾಡೋದು, ಈ ತರ 25 teachers 8 students ನ select ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. So 25 times the binomial experiment is repeated. Now since P is probability of selecting a girl student, X becomes number of girls in the selection of 8 students. Okay, so if those who want to model this in terms of P by taking probability of selecting a boy, so if there are 60% students, 60% of students are girls, then the remaining 40% are boys. So in that case, you can take P as probability of selecting a boy, which becomes 0.4. And then you can define X is equal to number of boys in the selection of 8 students. ಯಾವ ತರ ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೂ ನೀವು model ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. The next thing is writing the PMF. P of X is equal to NCX P to the power of X into Q to the power of N minus X, with X taking values 0, 1, 2, etc. 8. Okay. A question says how many teachers. So they are asking us the frequency. So first we'll compute the probabilities and then we will look into the frequency. So what is the probability of selecting 2 boys? Now since I have taken X as number of girls out of 8 students, if I want to observe 2 boys, then the remaining 6 should be girls. So it is not X is equal to 2, but it is X is equal to 6. So ನೀವು ಏನು ಡಿಫೈನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ X, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ತಕ್ಕಂತೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ probabilities ನೀವು ಬರೀಬೇಕು. x value ಬರೀಬೇಕು. Okay, so this becomes p of x is equal to, so let me write that as 2 boys is equal to 6 girls is equal to, in the sense selection of 2 boys is same as selection of 6 girls. Therefore, this will be p of x is equal to 6, which becomes 8c6 into p to the power of 6. How much is p? 0.6 power 6 into q, which is 0.4 to the power of 2. ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಎಕ್ಸೆಲ್ ಶೀಟ್ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ? ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಹೇಳಿ, ಎಷ್ಟು ಬಂತು? ಸೈಂಟಿಫಿಕ್ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟರ್ ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ಇರೋರು, ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟರ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಹೇಳಿ. And those are doing in the laptop, there is an easy way. Just look here. The built-in function to obtain the binomial probability is binomdist. BINOMDIST. Binomdist is the code, and press open bracket. So you have to enter 3 parameters here. Number S. S indicates success. So here S is nothing but our X, number of success. So we are talking about 6 success out of 8. How many trials? Total trials is 8. And then probability S, probability of success, which is 0.6. And then the fourth parameter is cumulative. That is, do you want to obtain the probability of P of X is equal to 6 or P of X less than or equal to 6? So cumulative ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಏನ್ x ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀರಾ 6 ಅಂತ, ಅಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೂ ಟೋಟಲ್ ಪ್ರಾಬಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಬೇಕಾ ಅಥವಾ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ x is equal to 6 ಮಾತ್ರ ಬೇಕಾ? ಸೊ x is equal to 6 ಮಾತ್ರ ಬೇಕಾಗಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ನಂಗೆ ಕ್ಯುಮ್ಯುಲೇಟಿವ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಸ್ ಬೇಕಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಯಾವಾಗೆಲ್ಲ ಬರೀ ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಟು ಗೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಪ್ರಾಬಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಬೇಕು, ಆವಾಗ ಕ್ಯುಮ್ಯುಲೇಟಿವ್ ಗೆ ನೀವು 0 ಅಂತ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಹಾಕಬೇಕು. 0 indicates false in the computer language. Therefore, if I enter this code, I'll get the probability. And calculator allo ishte bandirbeku.
0.2060.
20, yeah.
90.
2090. Yeah. So this is the code. Not quite code. Easy agi Excel ಮಾಡೋರು. ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ನೀವು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕ್ಯುಮ್ಯುಲೇಟಿವ್ ಜಾಗಕ್ಕೆ 1 ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ, you will get the total probability starting from 0 up to 6. So it gives you the distribution function.
Last 0 ಹಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಸರ್ binomial distance ಮೇಲೆ 6 8 0.6 ಅಂದ್ರೆ
n next 8 ಆಮೇಲೆ p ಆಮೇಲೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಪ್ರಾಬಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಬೇಕಾ ಕ್ಯುಮ್ಯುಲೇಟಿವ್ ಪ್ರಾಬಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಬೇಕಾ? ಪ್ರಾಬಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ 0 ಹಾಕಬೇಕು, ಕ್ಯುಮ್ಯುಲೇಟಿವ್ ಪ್ರಾಬಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ 1 ಹಾಕಬೇಕು. Let me show you. So if I put 1 here, it gives me the total of all the probabilities from 0 to 6, which is nothing but the CDF, distribution function ಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದಾದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಅದನ್ನ 1 ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. So if you need just P of X is equal to 6, you will enter the code binomdist 6, 8, 0.6, 0. Okay. And if you need P of X less than or equal to 6, in that case, you will enter the code 6, 8, 0.6, 1. That's the main. Now, the question what we need to answer is how many teachers. So this P of 2 boys, it is telling that if you conduct an experiment, that is if you select 8 students randomly in that particular scenario situation, chance that you will observe 6 girls is 0.2 per selection. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಸಲ 8 ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ನ ನೀವು ಸೆಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ 6 ಗರ್ಲ್ಸ್ ಇರೋದು ಪ್ರಾಬಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಎಷ್ಟು? ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ 0.2090. ಅದೇ ತರ ನೀವು 25 ಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ರಿಪೀಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ the number will be the frequency, which is T of X is equal to 0. So which is basically nothing but number of teachers. So number of teachers getting exactly 6 girls in their selection is P of x is equal to 6, which is equal to n capital N into P of x is equal to 6. So that will be equal to ಎಷ್ಟಾಗುತ್ತೆ 25 into 0.2090, which comes to or close to 5 teachers. So 25 ಜನ 8 ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ನ ಸೆಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ 5 ಟೀಚರ್ಸ್ ಅಥವಾ ಸೆಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ 6 ಗರ್ಲ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಇಂಟರ್ಪ್ರಿಟೇಷನ್. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಿದ್ಯಾ?
Yes, sir.
Now answer the next one similarly. So P of no girls. Now since x is defined as no girls, it will be just P of x is equal to 0. And for a binomial distribution, P of x equals 0 is q power n. So direct agi adanu baribodu. Napkalde probability mass function use ಮಾಡಿ. So this becomes 0.4 to the power of 8. ಬರಿಬೇಕು each and every statement. ನಾ ಏನ್ ಬರಿತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ?
Sir, 0. to the power of 8,
ಹ್ಮ್
6.5536 into 10 to the power of -4 ಬರುತ್ತೆ.
ಹ್ಮ್
Approximately 7 ತಗೋಬೋದಾ?
7 ಹೆಂಗಾಯ್ತು?
ಸರ್ ಇವಾಗ
6.5536 into 10 to the power of -4 ಬಂತು ಸರ್.
ಏನಪ್ಪಾ?
0.006
ಎವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡು. ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟರ್ ಫಿಕ್ಸ್
0.000065.
ಹಾ. So which is 0.0007. Fix your calculator for 1 digit. Sorry, 4 digits.
ಸರ್
ಹ್ಮ್
ಸರ್ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ 5 ಟೀಚರ್ಸ್ಗೆ 6 ಗರ್ಲ್ಸ್ ಬರ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಇದೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ
ಹಂಗಲ್ಲ. 5 ಟೀಚರ್ಸ್
ಇಂಡಿಪೆಂಡೆಂಟ್ ಸರ್ ಅವರು
8 ಜನನ ಸೆಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರ ಹತ್ರ
6 ಜನ,
ಅದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ 5 ಟೀಚರ್ಸ್ ಹತ್ರ 6 ಗರ್ಲ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. ಈಗ 0 ಗರ್ಲ್ಸ್ ಎಷ್ಟು ಜನ ಹತ್ರ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ? ಅದು ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್. I could give you the distribution to make you understand this clearly. ಅದು ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, ನೀವು ಸಬ್ ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್ಸ್ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರಿ. 2 0 1 2 miss ಆಗಿದೆ. ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ. So I've created the entire scenario here. So your x can take 0 to 8. These are the individual probabilities and individual t of x. So what to 25 ಜನ ಟೀಚರ್ಸ್ 8 ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ನ ಸೆಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್ ಕೇಳಿದ್ದು ಎಷ್ಟು ಜನ ಟೀಚರ್ಸ್ ಹತ್ರ 6 ಗರ್ಲ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. So we got an answer which is roughly equal to 5 teachers. Next question, ಎಷ್ಟು ಜನ ಟೀಚರ್ಸ್ ಹತ್ರ 0 ಗರ್ಲ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. So we got an answer as 0. ಏನಾಯ್ತು? So almost 0 teachers. So if you look into the total number of girls in various selections, so this is your number of teachers with the respective. So the in teacher agi now convert ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. Let me give you the integer value. So these are the integers. So 25 this is how the distribution. So ಯಾರ ಹತ್ರನೂ 0 ಗರ್ಲ್ಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಯಾರ ಹತ್ರನೂ 1 ಗರ್ಲ್ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಒಂದು ಟೀಚರ್ ಹತ್ರ 2 ಗರ್ಲ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ. ದೆನ್ 3 ಜನ ಟೀಚರ್ಸ್ ಹತ್ರ 3 ಗರ್ಲ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇನ್ 6 ಜನ ಟೀಚರ್ಸ್ ಸೆಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ 4 ಗರ್ಲ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. So this is the distribution of the number of teachers with respect to number of girls. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಏನು ಅಂತ ಈಗ?
ಸರ್
ಈಗ ಥರ್ಡ್ ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್ ನೋಡಿ. ನೋ ಬಾಯ್ಸ್. ನೋ ಬಾಯ್ಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನರ್ಥ? ಆಲ್ ಆರ್ ಗರ್ಲ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ಅದರದ್ದು ಪ್ರಾಬಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಇಲ್ಲ ಟೇಬಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ನಿಮಗೆ ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಇರ್ಬೇಕು ಇವಾಗ. ಸೊ ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಗೆಟ್ ದಟ್ ಆಸ್ 0.0168 as probability. Number of teachers will be 0. ಬಂತ? ಥರ್ಡ್ ಒನ್ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಬಂತ? ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾ? ಬರಿಬೇಕಾ ನೀಟಾಗಿ? So P of no boys. No boys, 0 boys. Since our distribution is formed on number of girls, no boys implies all girls. So all girls andre it is P of x is equal to 8. And for a binomial that will be 8c8 p power 8 q power 8 minus 8, that will be equal to p to the power of n. So that will come to 0.0168. Now you obtain the number of teachers. Next, fourth one is P of at least 3 boys. That has to be written in terms of girls. At least becomes at most. So that becomes n minus 3. That is 8 minus 3, which is equal to 5. 5 girls. So at most 5 girls. At most k is P of x less than or equal to k. So this will be P of x is equal to 0, x is equal to 1 and up to 5. Complete ಮಾಡಿದ.
17 teachers.
ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲ ಟೇಬಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಸಿಕ್ಕತ್ತೆ 0 to 5 ಅಂದಾಗ 17 teachers and the probability comes to 0.6846. Next one, equal number of boys and girls. So
X equals 4, sir.
ಎಂಟು ಜನನ ಸೆಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ನಂಬರ್ ಆಫ್ ಬಾಯ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಗರ್ಲ್ಸ್ ಇರಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ x is equal to 4 ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಆಗಿರೋ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಒನ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ. ಫಾರ್ಮುಲಾ ಬರಿಬೇಕು, ಸ್ಟೆಪ್ಸ್ ಬರಿಬೇಕು, ಸಬ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಬರಿಬೇಡಿ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಾ ಬರ್ದಿರೋಂಗೆ p of x equals 4 ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ is equal to 8c4 0.6 power 4 0.4 power 4 ಅದು ಸಬ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಆಮೇಲೆ ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದೇ ಸ್ಟೆಪ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಆಯ್ತು. ಹೋಗ್ಬೋದಾ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಒನ್ಗೆ? ಇನ್ನು ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ? ಆಯ್ತಾ ಇದು?
Yes, sir.
Okay. the next case. Okay. So there are 4 defective wristwatches produced for a batch of 100. What is the probability of getting no defective watches, all defective watches in a random selection of 3 watches from the production? If watches are packed in 50 per box, then in how many boxes there will be at least one defective? So in the production, we are counting how many defectives are produced. So we are interested in defectives. So I can define X is equal to number of defective watches. And we are observing this in a random selection of 3 number of defective watches in the selection of 3. So though we are producing 100 watches per batch, we are not investigating all the 100, but we are randomly selecting 3, and of the 3 we are checking how many are defectives. So the number of defectives out of 3 will reach 0 to 3. Therefore P becomes probability of observing, or you could say producing a defective watch. And they have said in a larger batch 4 out of 100 are produced, so probability will be 4 by 100, which is 0.04. So question, so we have n is equal to 3, and in the later case, if we are looking into if watches are packed in 50 per box.
Sir, 4 defective watches ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ, 3 watches random ಆಗಿ ಸೆಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. n 3 ನ 4 ಸರ್?
ಇನ್ ಎಷ್ಟು ವಾಚ್ ಸೆಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ಯಾ ರ್ಯಾಂಡಮ್ ಆಗಿ?
3 watches.
3 ನ. So binomial is always the repetition of Bernoulli. So here, what is the Bernoulli experiment? Selecting a watch and deciding whether the watch is defective or non-defective. So if you observe it as defective, you'll call it as success. If you get a non-defective watch, you will observe it as failure. And you are conducting this experiment for a total of 3 watches.
Yes, sir.
3 watches select ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ಯಾ, ಬಟ್ ಪ್ರಾಬಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಆಫ್ ಡಿಫೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಗೊತ್ತಿರ್ಬೇಕಲ್ವಾ? ಸೊ ಪ್ರಾಬಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಆಫ್ ಡಿಫೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ವಾಚ್ ಏನು? ಸೊ ನಿನ್ನ ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟರಿ ಅಥವಾ ನಿನ್ನ ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಯೂನಿಟ್ ಎವ್ರಿ 100 ವಾಚ್ಗೆ ಆವರೇಜ್ ಆಗಿ 4 ಡಿಫೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ಸ್ ನ ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ probability or the proportion of defective watches is nothing but 4 by 100. So always remember this probability in a large sense, sorry, proportion. When you are talking in terms of a larger population, it becomes your probability. That is the definition of statistical probability. Proportion of defective watches produced. That is your probability. Then last part ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ question edit ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. Okay, so we'll look into the first problem.
Sir, capital N 2 ನ sir?
ಇಲ್ಲ, ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ N ಮಿಸ್ಸಿಂಗ್ ಇದೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು ನಾನು. Okay, what is the probability of getting no defective watches? So when I say no defective watches, so number of defectives or X becomes 0. So prior to that, you write your PMF. PMF is equal to P of X is equal to X equals NCX P to the power of X into Q to the power of N minus X, which is nothing but 3C X, and P we have taken 0.04 power X, and Q will be 0.96. to the power of 3 minus x, with x taking values 0, 1, 2 and 3. So this is the PMF. So P of x equals 0 becomes 3c0 into p to the power of 0 into q to the power of 3 minus 0, which is 3, or simply you can write this as q to the power of n. Just one answer.
0.8847.
0.8847.
47.
Yeah. Probability of getting all defective watches. So all defective will be P of x is equal to 3. So this becomes 3c3 p to the power of 3 and q to the power of 0, or simply p power m, which is roughly 0. ಆಯ್ತಾ ಇದು? ಸೊ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಎನ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಮಿಸ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ, ಸೇರಿಸ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. If watches are packed in 50 per box, then in how many boxes of take some say 100 such boxes around the is add ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. Then in how many of 100 such boxes ಅಂತ. Okay, last part ಅಲ್ಲಿ how many of 100 such boxes there will be at least one defective. So many ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ such 100 ಅಂತ ಬರ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಸೊ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ ಓದಿದ್ರೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ಬೇಕು n ಮಿಸ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ. ಯಾಕಂತಂದ್ರೆ n indicates how many times you are repeating the Bernoulli. So here Bernoulli, sorry, repeating the binomial. Here Bernoulli is selecting a watch and inspecting, and how many watches you are selecting, that becomes binomial. And the first scenario we just selected 3 watches, and the next scenario we have a box and a box has 50 watches. Now we are counting how many of these 50 watches there are defective. So you are repeating the Bernoulli 50 times, so that is also your small n. So there are two binomial distribution given here. One is for n is equal to 3 and another for n is equal to 50. ಸೊ ಒಂದೊಂದು ಬಾಕ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇವಾಗ 50 ವಾಚ್ ಇದೆ. ನೀವು ಮೊದಲು ಮಾಡಿದೇನೋ ಎಷ್ಟೋ ವಾಚಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರಿಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ, ಬಟ್ ರ್ಯಾಂಡಮ್ ಆಗಿ ಹೋಗಿ 3 ವಾಚ್ ಎತ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬಂದು ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಡಿಫೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಿ. ಈಗ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಈ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ವಾಚಸ್ ಮ್ಯಾನುಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಚರ್ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಅದನ್ನ ಪರ್ ಬಾಕ್ಸ್ 50 ವಾಚಸ್ ಅಂತ ಸೆಗ್ರಿಗೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಪ್ಯಾಕ್ ಮಾಡಿದೀರಾ. ಇವಾಗ ಆ 50 ವಾಚಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಡಿಫೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ ಅದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಕಂಡುಹಿಡಿಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ n is equal to 50 and this production population proportion of defective that remains the same because we are still sticking to the same production unit, so p remains the same. Join back again.